Hey, Drew.
All right. Good morning, Breakfast Club PT. Welcome back. Where healthcare nerds get their coffee and cash flow right. I don't know if that's a tagline we should use, but it's the one I'm using today. Today, we're talking about magic moments. I don't think Tony or we didn't say today we're talking about magic moments. I think we separately saw them and then just started sharing them. I don't think it was conscious. Right. It's the little things that make people never forget you. How do you find the moments? Where are the moments? How do you capitalize on them? How do you give people permission to capitalize on them? Because giving permission is actually your job. We'll look at some companies that you know doing it, and maybe you've been a part of some of these magic moments and you've seen them and felt it and then never thought it was up to you to create those moments. So which one do you want to dive into first? Well, Dave will be on in a minute when he's not doing teething.
I don't care. You lead the show.
All right.
My question is, one, why is your guest not on the show today? He doesn't have to be, don't force it. Yeah. But I'm just saying this would be such a great perspective to talk to him. Two, let's just go into it. Whatever you want to talk about.
We got a secret guest. We'll bring him up for the second half of the show because I think he's got some unique insights. So magic moments. Let's give the one that you shared in the group chat. Now, I don't have a pet, but my brother had a dog. Had a dog. Love that damn dog. I don't even I like dogs, but I've never wanted a dog. But I liked when my brother had a dog because I could go play with the dog. And the first moment we'll talk about is from Chewy is the company. Recurring revenue. This is it's a subscription box, right? Food and toys and the whole nine. Do I have it right? Is that what Chewy does?
Yeah. So we buy our food. It's a 50-pound bag or whatever it is from Chewy. It shows up on your door frame or on your door. Let me see if I can play just a little bit of this.
The pet food company. I'm sure some of you already know what I'm about to tell you, but if you have a dog, go into Chewy, sign up. The beginning of every month, dog food arrives like clockwork at your house. You never have to think about it again. Thing with dogs, they die. Right. And
okay, right there. So the thing with dogs is they die. I was listening to that clip and my brain went somewhere completely different from the clip. I thought they were going to go down the road of this is a massive revenue driver for Chewy. They deliver food because you're not thinking about canceling your Chewy subscription. You get another bag of food. There's nothing for you to do with it. I thought, okay, this is, passive revenue coming in for Chewy. No.
They could also send you a new dog.
Okay. Yeah,
bingo.
So where the clip goes is they say, the customer reaches out to Chewy, says my dog died. Chewy can't take the food back, but what they do is they credit you or refund you the money that you spent. And they send you a bouquet or basket of flowers saying they're sorry for your loss. And the idea behind this is it's such an impactful moment for the customer and the brand that, of course, many dog owners will buy a second dog. I'm thinking already, my dog just turned 5. I'm like, oh man, we got to start thinking about a second dog before our dog dies. So this creates such a bond, such a connection with the customer. And it's such a relatively low cost, easy thing for them to do, but it's so impactful. So I share that because I'm like, all right, where are our Chewy moments? How do we create those Chewy moments? Obviously, we can't wait for a patient to die. What can we do before that happens that builds that bond that just, creates a raving fan for life?
So number one, I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you how to maybe get the answer in your clinic or your whatever business you have. You have to empower people that it is their job to spot them, because I think it's simpler at Chewy because dogs die and we send dog food, right? In healthcare, there might be those situations, or somewhere in your business there might be, but there also are going to be the Zappos moments. Are you familiar with Zappos? I can't remember the name of the CEO. But
Tony Hsieh.
So Tony Hsieh, correct me if I got the story a little bit wrong. I'm sure I'm going to screw up some of the details, but he started an organization selling shoes online. You can't do that. It's not going to work. And then as the organization grew, he never delegated somebody to be like the problem solver. So he's the CEO now answering every little single problem. Now, as a typical CEO, he could have said like, I'll just hire someone and they solve the problem, right? That's the typical org chart way to do it. Finally, he said something to the effect of, if you can come up with a solution to this problem that costs less than $500, solve it, and then just explain it to us. But solve it first, right? Don't ask me. Solve it. I trust you up to this amount, right? And it's similar to like the Ritz-Carlton. Are you familiar with they have the $2,000 rule. If you are a janitor, a housekeeper, a front desk person, a valet, if there's a problem that you see with a guest and you think you can solve it for less than $2,000, you do it, we'll reimburse you, but then we just want to know what you did to learn from it. So I think step number one is empowering people to understand that looking for these magic moments and solving them is in fact their job. They are empowered to do it. And now you create an entire army of people who are seeking those things out. So I think that's one of the first steps. I don't know if it's step one, but it feels like it's pretty early.
Dave?
Now tactical in terms of surprising and delighting your patients and clients, everyone's different, right? Tony posted a video several months back about Jeremy Sutton, who bought a joke book for a Dale or one of Tony's patients, who brings, either he brings in joke books and reads them out loud, or he just recites jokes. And Tony even posted a picture of this guy on social media holding a picture of his Pride and Joy, and it was like the two consumer items as Pride and Joy, so like a tongue-in-cheek pun there. So for that individual, like Tony and his team could have bought him a joke book. I'm sure maybe they did in the past, but not everyone wants a joke book. Right. Some people do want the flowers. Some people do want a Cincinnati Bengals hat or jersey for their birthday, and maybe Tony and his team do that. To have the biggest raving fans and to have the biggest surprise and delight, it's got to be unique to them. And
correct.
Yeah, you could just have that built into your your EMR in the little notes section. You just write down notes like what's their dog's name, what's their cat's name, like that person got a tattoo of their cat or dog's name, like, all right, that's obvious. And there's Dale right there. Yeah. So he got highlighted on Total Therapy Solutions.
For the record, that post got like 20,000 views.
Why do you think it got 20,000 views?
You know what? I wish I could tell you like it's because it was personal and he was smiling and it was like I've shared pictures of Dale before that got like 300 views. The whole algorithm is busted. I have no idea anymore what works and what doesn't. I just put out stuff at mass.
Yeah. Apple does this thing where after you bring some of your equipment into the Genius Bar, someone calls you, a phone call, not an automated call, not an AI bot, not a text message where they rate the customer experience from 1 to 10, a human. Hey, how'd that go? The question is, did we solve your problem? Not how'd that go. The question is about you and not how did their people do to rate their people to give them their bonus or not. Did we solve your problem? Because that was the point. So I'm trying to think like where those moments might be. Like if you took the Chewy example, like where are those moments? Like, because you guys are good because brick and mortar clinic, concierge PT, like they're the same, like they're both physical therapy, but they're vastly different. So like, do you guys, I mean, I think
we've actually had 2 clients pass away this calendar year already. One therapist, one was too young, one was 52 or something. Didn't even make sense. And I personally, it was nearby. It was kind of close. I went to the wake. I mean, that's one, like that doesn't scale. But also it doesn't happen that often, right? This event for all of our clients. And then another one, like typically we'll send flowers to like the spouse or the son or daughter, like whoever reached out to organize the physical therapy and all that. So, I mean, those are just fairly simple things. Like, and now maybe that if you're watching or listening, if you're in an outpatient clinic like Tony's, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe folks are, not that close to that event. So what other things like I don't know, Tony, what else have you tried? Like, have you gotten, I know you have done a ton of things and tested a ton of things over the years. Like, did you ever do, birthday things? Did you even like a patient's coming in and you got, coffee and donuts and you just put them on the table and say, or happy birthday hats, or, the cone hats, whatever. Like, what have you done to surprise patients or clients? Like, have you done anything at their peak of happiness or celebrated something that they really cared about?
So this is the thing. I think we can all agree, like, it has to be something authentic. It has to be genuine. It has to be in your DNA, and so this is where I don't think we can put out a formula, because it's going to depend on the individuals in the clinic, in the business. Jimmy and I were talking before we even started, we each have our unique predisposition. So for my organization, I can remember my wife, when she was treating patients, there were things that she would recognize about somebody that she would celebrate that was unique to that individual. I'm not that good at that kind of stuff. I'm not that good at like identifying special moments, celebrating special moments, connecting with the other human being on that side of things. I am borderline on the spectrum when it comes to those social interactions. So I try to actually divorce myself from those situations. But my PTA, he's amazing with that stuff. So it would be things like, hey, there's, a sports team coming to town, and my PTA would be like, hey, we should get tickets for so-and-so to go to this game because they're always wearing the jerseys for this team. It would be somebody's relative is graduating high school, and hey, we should do something to celebrate. Oh, yeah. Whatever the event is that's unique and special to that person, but it has to be within the personality of somebody on my team that's relatable and important to them.
I just did this with a client. I met with a client who was like, I'll give you 10 minutes, like stone face, right? And nice. Now you're looking for threads. So it's like two things. I'm like, well, I'm going to go home early. I get to go home early, right? But what I saw was somehow I've dated people who were like, why do you always go for small talk? And I'm like, I don't know. Who goes for big talk early? Like, you can't. So I remember I said like, something about kids or something. And he said that his stepdaughter was going to college. And I was just, where? Turns out she's going to school where I graduated from, a small school in the middle of nowhere. That 10 minutes turned into 90. And he said he was going to come to the next phone call. It was like, I'll follow up with a phone call. This was an in-person meeting. Now this is a phone call. In between the first in-person meeting that started rocky, but turned out warm, I wanted to keep it going. So on the Monday, like 2 days later, he got a box full of T-shirts from my school. I went to the website of the university and sent them a bunch of banners, stickers, T-shirts, because my goal was to send him a reminder of the emotion of that connection that we had. It was $90. It might have been a strikeout, but like Gary Vee did, right? Somebody ordered a box or two of wine, and he found out they were a Jake Cutler fan. And then we all said, why? Jay Cutler. Why would you be a Jay Cutler fan? Didn't matter. He's a Jay Cutler fan. He sent him a jersey. And you know what happened? Nothing. The guy never followed through until 9 months later. Someone ordered like 100 cases of wine and said, my friend bought 2 cases of wine from you and you sent him a Jay Cutler jersey. I just ordered 100. P.S. I'm a John Elway fan or something.
No, it was like, I'm a Bruce Springsteen fan.
Whatever. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a Bruce Springsteen fan. It's like, hey, listen, that's why we do these things, right? And is that scalable? No, but when it hits, man, I think the juice is worth a squeeze on this.
But again, it's got to be genuine, So Gary Vee's famous for jab, 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 left hook or whatever it is.
Right, yeah, but keep going.
But he always comes on and people will come on. They're like, Gary, I'm giving away all this free stuff and it's not turning into customers. It's because it's not genuine. You're doing it with the expectation that you're going to get something back in return. We have people on the team. One of my administrative people, they always send obituaries. They are like obsessed with obituaries. So they send to everybody else, hey, this was one of our patients. They passed away. They organize the flowers. They organize the sympathy card. we're not in a huge town. I mean, I think the population's like 50,000, but it's a tight community. So we go to funerals, we go to those things, but it's genuine. Like this person would do that regardless of whether we're going to get more business or new patients. I think that's the key. And I know that I can't do that genuinely. It's not in my nature. It makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel kind of weird. So I just leave it up to the person who it is in their nature.
So step one, empower people that they're supposed to look for these moments. And step two, tell them if it's not real, don't do it. Because honestly, I think that could hurt you. I think in the long run, right, it would hurt you. I used to have my morning show guy who was an old school rocker dude. And I made him do this, and he hated it because it wasn't in his nature until he heard how it worked. Off the air, he got off the air at 10 a.m., and we had a prize database. If you picked up a prize, you had to sign for it and give us your information. I don't know why, but we had your information, email address, phone number, and your birthday. I made him call everybody whose birthday it was that day or on a Friday the next 2 days. And, of course, no one picked up the phone because it's a random number. He would leave him a 15-second voicemail. What's up, man? Jim Bone. Just wanted to say, I think, is it your birth? And he was doing cameos on voicemails before there was Cameo. And the first 32 times he did it, he was like, this is dumb and you're dumb and I hate you. And then he heard someone call back and they were like, I've listened to you guys for 9 years and I've never called in because that's not my thing, but you were on my voicemail. And oh my God, that meant so. And he was like, okay, I see what you're doing here. But he had to make 32 calls to get one of those. It was against his nature until he saw that ROI, that feeling. And he was like, oh, 8 seconds of me calling someone could mean something. I'll do that. That's cool. The cheesy thing would have been to read a list of birthdays on the air. That's the cheesy thing.
Right. So I'm doing this right now to nurture a referral source. So there's a huge, I mentioned on the show before, a really big physician group, and they have a few physical therapists in the organization. The concierge practice is so big that the physical therapists are just doing evaluations only. So anyone that actually needs ongoing physical therapy, they refer to outpatient clinics, they refer to us, they refer to other places for patients that they call them members, that need ongoing care. One of these physical therapists has referred me several patients over text and email and all that. And then I have to send them, this is their request. They want like a recap every Monday morning of like how the patients are doing, just like a sentence or two, like any red flags, any issues, like what's going on. They just want to have a pulse, right? They have to send it in like a special spreadsheet. I'm like, sure, no problem. So we send it. There was some patient, I had to send something this past week. And I'm like, this was from, specifically about this patient, like they might need surgery apparently. So, maybe look into this. And there was some, there were some keywords. And I said, Jonathan, this was your referral specifically. So I just wanted to send this and make sure this is on your radar. Then Jonathan's email started bouncing back to me because he was out on paternity leave. So I'm thinking, okay, these guys are sending me these patients that do not balk at all for our 100% self-pay rate. And I'm thinking, like, what else? I'm like, what products and things can I send this guy? What can I drop off? Now he's off of paternity leave. Now he's back working. And I found out over text with him that this was his second child, and it's 2 daughters. So just last night, I'm on Google. I didn't even know we were going to discuss this. And I'm trying to look up, and I'm going to get my wife Annie's help on this. What are the best like books for parents to read to their first daughter about the new baby like there's this clash, right, Tony? Like when you have the second kid and the first kid feels jealous and they kind of like the baby, they kind of hate the baby, like there's all these emotions, right? And my intent is, and I would love to get your feedback on this live, we did not plan this at all, is I go on, I don't know, Amazon or whatever, and I buy all of the books for this guy. I spent $100 at a bookstore 2 weeks ago. I'll buy all the books for this specific thing. And then inside the cover, there's always like a to and a from, and it's going to be like to, Jonathan's family, whatever, from, us and my name or whatever, just as to stay on top of mind, but in a way that's like roundabout. It's not like in your face, but then like any thoughts on this? I mean, I'm going to actually, I'm gonna
Of which book?
No, not which book, but like either items.
That's the book.
I that came up in my search because
It's a
obviously
good book.
it is elevated on Google because I saw that last night and I didn't even see the cover. I saw the text when I was Googling around. That might be one of them. But the point is to drop off stuff for this physical therapist that now has a second kid that I only have one, so he's got a more challenging situation than me. So he is ahead of me in the game. So I'm like, what could he possibly need? He doesn't need a white noise machine. He's already got one. He doesn't need this, a crib or that. He's already got it. So those types of books or things like that
Wine.
resonate.
He's wine.
Wine night. A babysitter.
Yeah, babies.
I'll tell you what was an incredible thing that we got. Now, this came from a financial planner that we were working with. It was, and I don't even remember the name of the book. It was a book that had our oldest son's name. He was just born at that time. And it went through this whole story. It was a bunch of animals. And, you know, they talked about the birth of our son by name, and then like all of these, how the different animals were. It was the coolest thing. I would read that story, which was kind of a song, to my son like every night during bedtime, to the point where it was just ingrained in my head. And of course, like that was so powerful because it came from this financial planner. So that was, you know, if you're looking for a gift idea, I think that was the best gift we ever got for a kid.
Did you retain the financial planner is all I care about.
We did, but you know, it's kind of sad / funny. So this was an Edward Jones guy. We didn't know anything about finances when we brought him on. He was in the plaza where we had our clinic, right in the middle of like the 2008 financial crisis. This guy goes and has a heart attack. Like everything falls apart. We lose 50% of our portfolio value. So at that point, within the next year or so, we did not retain the services of this particular financial planner. We moved to a different private investment group, but
the show just took a dark turn. I'm sorry to ask.
Regardless, I do remember, you know, him by name. I remember the book, and it was something that was impactful for us.
Yeah, that's all you get. You get a chance, right? This is the chance at a relationship build, right? How many times have you introduced yourself to someone and it goes somewhere? A few. And how many times do you do that and it doesn't go anywhere? A lot. So this is just a chance, an opportunity to show, like, I don't care what book Dave eventually buys for that guy. This fact that he spent 15, 20, 35 minutes thinking about it shows that he cared. If it comes across, great. If it doesn't, you take another. You don't abandon that. You don't throw out the bathwater or the baby just because of the bathwater. Although, I don't know. I don't want either. But
so real quick, Tony, the financial planner, the name of the child in the book was the older child?
Yeah. He did it for my first son. He wasn't around for my next 3 sons. So he did it for my first son. He had his name and his date of birth, and the whole story was weaved around, you know, the birth of my first son.
That's awesome.
We had
it was really cool.
A cassette tape that was that too. Like, you go to like a shop in the airport and there's tchotchkes with every name on it, right? So it's personalized. It's mass personalization. There was a cassette tape of a story that you would play, and obviously they dropped in the word Jimmy. And I remember my cousins used to play it for me, and I would be like, how do they know my name? Remember Romper Room? Do you remember the TV show Romper Room on PBS? She would look through her magic mirror into the camera at the end of every show. And she'd say, I see Stevie and Mary and Tony and Dave. And my mom said I used to hide behind the couch because I was freaked out how she could. I was like, I didn't realize this thing was 2-way, but it worked well enough for me to be like, what the hell? Personalization at the end. It freaked me out.
Let's go to steal this strategy.
Steal this strategy. All right. I was in a store that Tony is very confused that I was in apparently this weekend, but I like this sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a giant big kid. I was hanging out in the Lego store. This is the Lego Millennium Falcon on the live stream if you want to take a look at it. So the idea here, the strategy is, and I feel like I was in the store, now all I just think of is show content. It's a weird question for you. Would you pay more for fewer Lego bricks? This is the Millennium Falcon. It's got about 8,000 pieces. So the question is, would you pay more for fewer bricks? Turns out millions of people do. And it might be the smartest pricing lesson in healthcare. So here's the idea. Some Lego sets have 2,000 pieces and cost $200, and some have 1,000 pieces and cost $400. How does it do that? It's because they don't price the set per piece. They price the set based on the outcome, the thing that you're going to get in the end. They're selling you the Millennium Falcon, Hogwarts Castle, the DeLorean from Back to the Future, which, by the way, if you're putting together lists, I would like to put together at some point. It's called value-based packaging. And of course, we've talked about value-based care. Like, this is a great parallel that I've figured out in the Lego store in the Palisades Mall. You're talking about anchoring the pricing to emotion, story, and outcome, not raw quantity of units. Right now, healthcare still sells pieces. 1 unit of manual therapy, 3 visits a week, 6 minutes of ultrasound. Some things are worth more than others. But patients don't care about that. They care about, can I hike again? Can I sleep through the night? Can I lift my kid without pain? Now, the problem is, as we would talk about, or Tony talked about before, you have to understand who's paying, because the insurance company does care about 6 minutes of ultrasound or 1 unit of manual therapy. But this is why different models exist or can exist. So how to steal it? Reposition, or how would you steal it? You'd have to reposition what you're selling. Selling 10 sessions is selling pieces. Sell back to running program is selling the Millennium Falcon put together. Don't sell, a cupping session. Sell the headache-free month. So make sure you sell the hole and not the drill. Sell the hole, the hole that the drill will create. So an example that you can steal today, after 8 PT visits with dry needling and mobility work, that's before. After would be the 30-day shoulder reset, get back to overhead lifting without pain, or your next month is free. I just thought it was unique how we sell units in physical therapy. We bill units, and yet the sum is greater than the individual parts if you parse them out. Do you think we'll ever get there, Tony and Dave? Are we ever going to change this? Is it possible in an insurance-based model? Is it possible to do insurance, insurance and an add-on to something like this? How can someone steal Lego strategy?
Dave, what do you got?
I think it's so much easier in a self-pay model to answer your question directly. Can it be done in an insurance practice plus self-pay offerings? I think it's very challenging. I think if you have a business owner like Tony and I that understands both, or Tony that does the in-network in billing and then says, hey, these things are not offered by your insurance, they're not covered services, that are not approved, whatever, and it would be out of pocket. Do you want to do it or not? It can work. I think it really depends on the practice owner. Overall, no, because most owners are either like self-pay, they understand sales and marketing, all that, or they're like so rigid in like the billable units. Tony's kind of like in the middle. He understands both, but there's not many folks like Tony.
Yeah, it's like we always say, like, why are patients come in twice a week or 3 times a week? Well, it's because that's what fits into the schedule. Why are patients being booked on the 30-minute or the hour? Because that's what fits into the schedule. You're going to have more flexibility, more creativity. Before the show, Jimmy and I were talking, and I said, I never really got into Legos. I'm such a creative person. I love building. I love creating, but I don't know why. I never got into build the Falcon. And when I was just creating for myself with a bunch of random colors and blocks, I was like, this is boring. I want to go do something else. But I've got nephews that built that exact model that Jimmy shows. And we talked about, do you super glue the pieces together?
Yeah.
But to the point, even when you look at creating like educational content, so, everybody has learned this lesson who eventually becomes successful. Don't over deliver. Don't put everything into it. Like, give them the bare essentials, give them what is needed to achieve the outcome. When I'm cooking, There's very specific ratios that I'm going to use. I'm not going to pour the whole bottle of garlic powder just because garlic powder tastes good. I'm going to give it just what it needs to accomplish the objective. When we're doing something like this, I do think that if you find that sweet spot between convenience, speed, delivery, and outcome, you can charge 3 times as much as the person who's just going to go in and just deliver those CPT codes.
Right.
You know, you understand the business you're building. Are you building a CPT code dispenser like a Pez dispenser? Just keep pumping CPT codes. The more 8-minute units you can build, the more successful we're going to be. That's fine. McDonald's is serving billions of hamburgers a day, that they're pumping out those CPT codes. Or are you going to build a business that delivers the outcome that we're looking for? That's a premium business, premium pricing. You know, it's going to be more profitable if done correctly.
Yeah. I mean, there's what's the gym with the lunk alarm? Planet Fitness. There's Planet Fitness, or there's what Nike was doing with, we talked about it a few weeks ago, Nike Strength Studio, where they're like, okay, we have a smaller studio. It's 10 squat racks, 2 people to a squat rack, 1 instructor, a 30-minute class. They're selling different things, but both as a gym membership. So why would Planet Fitness be $10.99 a month, where Nike Strength Studio, I haven't looked it up, but my guess is it's a few $100s a month for access to come a couple times a week, and you built in scarcity. So can you overserve in this model? Can you make the experience better even if you're billing 8-minute units? Because we talked about this the other day. There's only 3 ways to make more money, right? Find more people to come to your business, find the people who are already coming to spend to come more often, and find the people who are coming to spend more. I feel like there's that more, or if they pick you versus someone else is a inflection point too.
Let me ask you guys a quick question. That's kind of off topic, but I've been thinking about this so much. I don't want to be that grumpy old man in the corner, but is it just my imagination? I feel like we're losing creativity in young people, generally speaking. I don't know if it's such a push on the education side, the teaching side. Like everybody I talk to, it seems like they want to learn something new, but they don't want to figure it out. They want to be taught how teach me how to do this.
Exactly how to do it.
Yeah, and I don't understand, and it just might be my bias or the people that I'm around or whatever. Are you seeing the same thing? Are you seeing people who want to be shown exactly how to do it, or are there still enough people around that are like, give me the general direction and I'm going to find my own way? I'm just curious, Dave.
I don't know. I mean, maybe have iPads and screens and iPhones been around long enough to affect your observation of this? Like in terms of like more folks that are just around screens and they
I
had a
don't think it's
drop
that.
in resourcefulness.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the dependence on educators and education. You know, it's like teachers, this is the way you do it. Well, there's 1,000 other ways to do it, but no, this is the way you do it. And I'm just curious with clinicians in particular.
Wow.
You know, back in the day, like you didn't have such a tight framework, and you were looking to figure things out, and you were exploring. And what got me thinking about this in our profession, Barbara Rice is an OT. She's an amazing OT. I met her down in Florida in person. She's been around for like 40 years, I think she said. And she was just saying she's looking for a PT to treat her husband. Her husband's dealing with hip pain. She put this out publicly, so I'm not disclosing any private information. And she was like, I've been to 5 different therapists, and nobody is really looking under the surface. Nobody is looking at what else could be causing this. It's probably not osteoarthritis in the hip. It's probably coming from something else. And I'm just like, I've heard this a lot about clinicians, that you get a diagnosis, you follow the treatment for the diagnosis, you follow the instructions on the box of Legos, and you're not really looking for other things. I don't know if this is pervasive through the industry or this is, just my imagination.
Cameron's a smart dude chiming in. The amount of passive information given to children digitally is at an all-time high. Former generations had to have more active participation in learning. I haven't listened to a lot of education stuff like deep, but what some stuff I have learned is your job as a parent is not to alleviate boredom. I'm bored. Figure it out.
Right.
But a lot of times it's here's this thing. I don't know. Like, I mean, I see 4 and 5-year-olds understanding like YouTube, watching people have a meltdown when that phone dies is disturbing. Like a little bit. Like I get it, but also like a little bit disturbing.
we're gonna skip screen time. We're not doing any screen time at all with our 14-month-old. So
yeah, but they're gonna
yeah, well, tough cookies. He's gonna have to learn how to build a fence and get dirty and jump fences and climb
June 3rd,
trees.
2025. Dave Kittle, tough cookies. I don't know. Like, so I go either way, which is like, is the percentage of people who are lacking or having creativity different than it was 20 years ago, or is it easier to see now? Like, are more people bitching in 2025 that did in 1995, or is it just easier for Karen to bitch in a Facebook group and have 150 people see it? I don't know the answer, but I'm saying like things are the same. Like, are New Yorkers just jackasses, or are we just louder? You can hear us further away, right? So I think there's an equal opportunity of jackasses everywhere. I think we're just louder, so we are more effective in getting our point across.
I think that the Cameron post or comment was perfect, because I've been irritated for years about these Facebook groups, and physical therapists will come into all. I mean, it's not Tony's, but it's other Facebook groups where they'll come in and they'll ask questions, and it's like all you had to do was use the search bar in the group to ask about how to make a super bill, or how to whatever, how to use a website, make a website, how to do marketing, whatever. Like, people come into these Facebook groups that have thousands of users and members. They just post a question. They're looking for a quick answer. Right. No one's doing the digging. No one, like what Cameron said, no one is actively, and maybe I don't know. I don't want to say I'm old school, but like,
well, you have to be old school. Like, you went to school a long time ago. So did I. So we are old school. Like, new school's different, man. They have Chromebooks, each kid. Like, so it is different. Like, we didn't have that. Dude, I asked my dad what a word meant. I asked my dad when I was like 8 years old what an aphrodisiac was, because I heard it on like a show. And I remember my dad got so uncomfortable. I remember being like, I thought the word was innocuous. And my dad was like, go look it up. But that was the way, was go look it up. And I was like, but why can't you just tell me? We're supposed to find the path of least resistance, right? Aren't we? Work smarter, not harder. Maybe this is evolution. But now you're skipping the step of being able to figure it out for yourself, right? I had some really awful teachers. Sky Donovan was my professor. Now she's APTA vice president. Was the worst teacher ever. I'd ask her a question and she wouldn't give me the answer. She'd just teach me how to find the answer. I wanted her just to give me the damn answer. I paid enough now, but now I can figure out answers later. So yeah, like, it is better, but it does taste worse. So Tony's chiming in about something different we talked about earlier. Was not all burgers are the same. You can get a $2 fast food cheeseburger. We've talked about McDonald's, or invest in a $20 grass-fed, 98% lean gourmet, Same goes for physical therapy. Concierge offers personalized expert-level service that delivers real value, according to Tony. I'm not knocking him, but according to Tony, it's real value.
Not Tony Maritato, though.
Right, Tony gave me the comment.
Tony K.
So I agree with you,
does
Tony.
not agree with this.
I agree with Tony Couture, who's chiming in, except sell the thing that they value to the person who values it.
All right. So go ahead.
We don't have to do it now. I do have a prop. I do have a show and tell thing that I can link to a little bit of a topic.
Let's do it now.
Tony, you got something. If you wanted to go ahead.
All right. So I think Dave and I, maybe when Jimmy was gone one of these days, Dave and I talked about an APTA report. Oh, yeah. I'm going to pull it up here on the screen. This is like a secondary article to the original report. So this was published March 4th, 2025. So a couple months ago. Original survey showing, projected shortages of physical therapists in the profession. A couple quick things that I think kind of stood out from this that I want to talk about. I'm going to scroll through. So they're saying the primary leading indicator is people are retiring and fewer people are coming into the job search, right? So we have 233,000 current physical therapists, FTE. We're going to be like between 5 and 10% short in the coming years. Part of that is because therapists are retiring. If they can delay retirement, we might reduce some of the shortages. 72% of respondents to this, 57% of the 72, I think it was, said that their shortage in capacity to meet local demand, and then 24% said they're already at their limitation. They cannot take any more patients. My thing with this is, what are we looking at for immediately addressing this? Even if we try to reduce the cost of education, it's going to still take 5 years to put a kid through school.
Yeah.
So like talking about more entrants, it's just, that is way down the line. Talking about fewer exits, that is something that why would I not leave the profession if I'm not getting paid more, if I'm not getting rewarded for my time, my frustration? But I feel like this goes back to, people aren't willing to change the delivery mechanism. One of the most amazing things about technology is it allows us to increase individual capacity without putting more time, without putting more effort. I really think, and Jimmy and I talked about this a little bit the other day, I can change my tech stack so that I can make things easier. I can make more money. I can accomplish more with less cost now than I ever could in the history of humanity. Nobody's addressing that. Nobody's talking about that. Do you guys have any ideas on how we can accomplish more, how we can earn more, how we can spend less, leveraging some of the technology and the resources that are out there right now?
I know the bleeding heart in the room, which I have one sometimes, will say this is horrible, but isn't this great? Like,
tell us more. How is it great?
Supply is up and demand is down. Like, isn't that when we buy stocks, right? So PTs are becoming more valuable. Now, the hitch and the giddy up is the insurance company is in the middle, right? So if you're a Dave, you're like, this is great. Like, outpatient clinics are going to get flooded and they're not going to be able to handle it. And then the ones that need it and the ones that can afford Dave are going to go, hey, man, let me Google that. Let me go to ChatGPT and figure that out. Will this force?
Some of the busy clinics across the country, some people are going to believe that is physical therapy, and then they're going to end their search. So it's not. Sure. It's partly okay for practice owners like me with one-on-one or whatever you want to call it, self-pay, whatever. There's some people that are just going to try physical therapy and think that is physical therapy. Unfortunately, I know it's different. Like, if we're hiring, you hire someone for an appliance, like a plumber, a dishwasher, whatever, and if they can't do the job, whatever, you go find someone else. You don't say plumbers don't work, right? But people say that about physical therapy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I think the people who say physical therapy doesn't work are the people who don't want it to work, or the people who don't want to do the thing, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you get a bad plumber. Like, bad plumbers exist. That guy couldn't fix the problem. Yeah. I'm going to go find somebody else who can fix the problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you have a problem that can't regress to the mean, like, because we're all three of us were like outpatient ortho guys. If you've had a spinal cord injury or a stroke and you had a crappy PT, do you think you'd stop? No, because you still have a real problem that affects everything that you do every single day. If you actually have a problem and the means to fix it, the time, the finances, and it matters enough to spend time, you'll do it. The people who say, I tried PT, it didn't work, I don't know if they had a big enough problem to actually try it, or they were never going to be satisfied anyway. So I don't know. Like, do we have too many PTs? Not enough? Water always finds its level.
I think we, we have too many PTs doing the wrong stuff,
spending
their time
playing the wrong position,
solving the wrong problems. I shared a post in my Facebook group. So my total knee replacement support group just crossed 19,000 members. We have a ton of posts. Thank you very much. And
Awesome.
I love asking these questions. I ask them every couple months. I'm like, hey, for your physical therapy, how many visits did you do for your knee replacement? I was blown away by how many individuals. I had over 150 comments. The vast majority, 40 visits, 36 visits, 80 visits. I have unlimited physical therapy. There are patients that were going for 12 months, 2 to 3 times a week. And then when you hear about people say, oh, patients won't even pay a copay. There was a guy who basically had a full year paying a $50 copay for every single visit. And then he was talking about going for more. I was blown away. Now, guys, I'm in the TKR world. Like, I'm very familiar with total knee replacement. I'm familiar with stories. I'm familiar with what's going on. We do not need, in the vast majority of cases, we do not need 80 visits.
Nope.
And so Scott's saying we need to make the juice for physical therapy worth the squeeze.
And the juice is different for everybody, and the squeeze should be different for everybody, and that's the idea.
So my perspective on this, like, hip replacements virtually never go to physical therapy.
Wow.
Knee replacements are going the same way. There were a couple patients who said, my doctor doesn't believe in, like, we're fake. He doesn't believe in physical therapy. He did say it does more harm than good. There are complicated cases. There are situations where you get infections and other stuff. But I would say the vast majority of outpatient ortho is so massively overutilized. I would say cut 70, 80% of outpatient ortho out of third-party reimbursement. But what does that do? That allows great therapists to focus their time on real problems that are underserved right now massively in the population.
Yes. Scott doesn't want more paperwork.
Just get rid of all in. We just need to get rid of all in-network insurance. Come on. Yeah. And then Scott, I agree. Why don't we just get rid of all the documentation? Why don't we just get rid of our physical therapy license, and then we can just treat one-on-one, or we could treat whatever. We could treat group. Tony could do 5 total knee replacement patients at the same time. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. So that goes back to the conversation. I thought you were on the other side of it, where I don't think licensure protects the public anymore. I think it did when it started, before internet, before social media, before all this stuff. I don't think licensure does anything to protect the public now. I don't think continuing education requirements and the other stuff does anything to improve the quality of care. I do think that's just burdensome regulation. Yeah. So, I agree.
This is where AI comes into play. You don't want more paperwork? We want to help people. Great. Use a scribe. I don't care which one. We're all going to be using them in 2 years. All of us. Because there's not a kid that Tony just described a minute ago who's like, can you just do it for me or just solve my problem? There's not a kid who's in undergrad right now who will do documentation a long way. Not one. If they see a colleague or someone else or an ad for an AI scribe, and business owners will be like, well, you do what I say because I pay you. They won't come work for you. This is a retention piece. If you're not using a scribe and the most advanced technology, I'm not going to come work for you because I just did the math in my head. 2 extra hours every day doing this bullshit. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So don't change what you do. I think the big change is how you do it, which is simple but not easy to do.
So,
all right.
Go ahead, Dave.
Can I switch over to this little prop thing?
Yeah, what's your prop? You're going full carrot top.
All right, here we go. Okay. Either of you guys, you like ice cream? Summer's coming up.
Love ice cream.
Okay. When you order ice cream, do you order like the waffle cone or you get it in a cup? You guys,
waffle cone in a cup. Waffle cone in a cup.
All right. Wonderful. What is the best part of the waffle cone? It's at the bottom, right? It's like the glass
chocolate filled. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I am not. I wish I was part. I wish I had equity in this company. But this Girl Scout cookies,
Girl Scouts,
Muddy Bites. I'm going to open it for the first time on the show live. I'm opening it. Look at this, guys. This is unbelievable. And there is a connection on how we can connect this to.
Let's describe this for the podcast audience. It is just a bag of the bottom of the waffle cone
with a little bit of chocolate Like,
Well,
as
you have
it's
to put the
literally,
chocolate in there. The chocolate is there to prevent the leak of the melting ice cream.
it's literally the last bite of the waffle cone and ice cream.
That's brilliant.
It's
How
understand the best part.
how brilliant is this? Now, here's the connection. We talked about it before. Of Will Boyd mentioned it. If he were to start a practice, if he were gonna start a business, he would do it around a modality. And so, like, like what my opinion, I was going to ask you guys, and I just jumped ahead.
I like
This
it.
would be like what is Muddy Bites in physical therapy? And I was going to say, okay, well, maybe it's a modality, it's shockwave, it's stim pod, whatever, and running ads to the modality that catches people's attention because the public perceives, medical
Yeah.
breakthroughs and devices and, modalities. Some people call them gimmicks. I'm not talking about ultrasound, like, rubbing the ultrasound, but like the actual effective uh perceived result of a device like a shockwave or a stim pod or the new fit, the newbie, or I don't know what else is out there. So I was going to ask, what is the Muddy Bites in physical therapy? My apologies, I jumped ahead. I said it was like
No.
modalities, but what else? What else you guys got? You got any thoughts, takeaways? Any? Dunkin' Donuts.
Don't throw away the middle of the donut. Just make it a munchkin. It's smart. Yeah, it's like, but give them the part that they like. So what is that in physical therapy? It is, I think, what Dave is talking about. It is an experience. It might be some passive stuff and less active stuff, right? Because this stuff's hard, but not everybody needs everything. This is all each person's different, right?
It
Well,
depends.
and
I think Jimmy just said it depends. Did you see my post about the top of the muffin? Remember that from Seinfeld?
yes, there you go.
Same thing. Like we waste so much time, money, and effort trying to do all of this stuff that has such little impact. What is the 20%? And then let's find the next 20% of the 20%. And let's just keep going deeper and deeper. Now, when I said it depends, it's because like right now, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, I've got a group of people out there, probably 6 to 8, if I just go by what I hear behind me. They don't care about exercise. They don't care about manual therapy. They don't care about interventions or modalities or anything. They are here for the jokes. They are here for the laughs. They are here for the community. That is the Muddy Bite
secret
that
sauce.
we are delivering.
That's the secret sauce.
But then I've got a different group that is coming for the shockwave that nobody else in my area has and nobody else can deliver. But then I've got a different group that is coming for the clinical expertise and the diagnostics of a clinician who's seen so many cases. They could make a differential diagnosis to say, no, this is not referred pain from your lumbar spine. This is XYZ. So it doesn't matter what the Muddy Bite is, you find it, then you find the community that's looking for that, and then you deliver it to that community. And best of all, if it's not a covered benefit, just charge cash, because that community is so passionate about buying that they will put money in your pocket for it.
Yes, exactly. Agreed.
All right. You want to wrap it? Are we close?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
We're close enough. Yeah.
So parting shot, I'll kick it off. The thing that is most impactful, like Dave was talking about, what is that one thing? What is the Muddy Bite? What is the one thing that gives us the biggest benefit? And then even within that one thing, how can we go 2 or 3 levels deeper? I think for me, for my community, my population, it's the socialization. They just want to come in and hang out. They want to come in. They want to talk. They want to socialize. They want to have a good time. They want somebody who is being paid to listen to them, whether they acknowledge the fact that we're being paid to listen to them or not. Now, how we monetize that, it could be CPT codes. It could be self-pay. It could be social media. If we get a chance, in an upcoming show, I want to talk about like how my Amazon affiliate stuff is doing. I couldn't make money through Amazon if I didn't have these individuals out here who just want to come in, hang out, and socialize. So that for me, that's my Muddy Bite.
Dave, what do you got?
I think just continue to be creative. Like, I saw that this item my wife purchased from, I don't know, Whole Foods or something, And literally, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna bring this on the show. I can't even believe that no one thought of the end of the cone bite. Like, how come Nestle and Hershey and all these other companies never thought of this? It's absolutely genius. This show, you guys, it helps me stimulate creativity. And I'm thinking, like, how can I not just bring this on the show, but how could I use this actually in my practice? How can I how can I use this idea and have something that I can do for my clients? I'm catching up with a client that's been with us for a year or two, and one of my therapists is treating him, and we're texting back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, like, I would love to see you. Like, let's, stop by for coffee, or we'll go out for coffee or whatever." And so we're gonna do that next week. And it's like, how can I continue to use these types of ideas to find my ideal client, retain my ideal client? They pay handsomely, no questions asked, and they're experiencing value. It's like, how can I use these ethical tools and strategies to find more of those folks? And this is just one example, like the Money Bites thing. Like, what am I missing? What am I overlooking? What am I not using in my practice that I might be able to in the coming months or years?
Do you want to know why nobody at Nestle did it?
Yeah, why?
Because no one gets fired for saying no. No one gets fired for not taking a chance. There used to be an old adage: no one gets fired for picking IBM as your computer solution, because like they're mayonnaise. They're probably going to work. They're going to do a B-, right? People do get fired when they take a chance. And who makes decisions? People who've worked 30 years to get to the office that they're in now. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? The risk is too much, and that's sad. Like, I remember I had a guy pull me aside when I was a program director of the radio station, and I used to make crazy decisions, right? And one of the younger guys at the radio station was like, "Why do you do all these crazy things and you try things? And those other guys who've been here for 20 years they just play it safe?" And I'm like, "They have kids and a mortgage. I don't. If I get fired, I'll probably find another job, and I have less to lose." Except I think over time, especially from an organizational standpoint, you have a lot to lose, because Nestle's just got smoked by Girl Scouts because they just said, we're going to bag up the bottom of a waffle cone. So why are there only, look at all the movies that come out. And somebody had a stat the other day. It was like 38% of movies are sequels or parallel universes of other movies. Nobody gets fired for making the copy of the copy. But if that one movie you took a risk on doesn't go anywhere, you're in deep trouble. See, Dave just dropped a steal of a strategy. My parting shot is I'll go back with Legos because I can't wait to get my hands on the Back to the Future DeLorean. At the end of the day, nobody brags about how many bricks they bought. Nobody's proud about going to physical therapy. You're proud of what you did afterwards. I don't brag about how many bricks it is. I can't wait to show you that I built a Millennium Falcon, right? It's also called the IKEA principle. So they show off the castle they built, not the process. The same goes for your clinic. Don't let the system reduce you to pieces. See what I did there? You're building something bigger. Make sure your patients can see and understand that. Not all of them will. Fire the ones that don't. Make room for the ones who do, and then you'll actually be able to elevate your value. That's my parting shot for today. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll have some different topics. Gentlemen, check out Learn Medicare Billing. Check out Dave Kittle Show on the YouTubes, and listen to PT Pinecast. And go have a great Tuesday, everybody. See ya.
Bye now. Thank you.